when I was in this situation, I realized at that moment, it's like, okay, what is the first version of getting better? What is it gonna take? Because I was getting smashed by the other studios. I had, I paled in comparison to anyone else's gear. And so I was going, okay, the only thing that is going to separate me is if I get knowledge. Knowledge is the great equalizer, and it's also the thing that, from time, energy, money, and people, if you have better knowledge, you can utilize all of those resources better. So I'm like, okay, I'm going down this thing. And so I had an intern at the time, and I had this crazy girl who wanted to hang out with me named Kayla at this time. Ends up being my wife. Absolute light of my life, and she's incredible. Shout out to her. But what happened is we had no business. We're not making any money, and so I say, okay, here's what we need to do. Let's go to Barnes & Noble, and let's just read books. So this is pre-2016 when I really started on the personal growth, and I started on Audible. We'd go to Barnes & Noble. All three of us would read everything we possibly could. And then we would go to a bar or something afterward, and we would talk about everything that we read that day. And that was our first version of speed reading. And there was one time that it was a beautiful summer's day in Colorado, and we were like, I don't want to sit in Barnes & Noble. Let's just go to a park and let's throw a ball. So me and the intern at the time were throwing a ball back and forth, and Kayla's sitting there. I think she was still reading a book just because that's who she is. And all of a sudden her phone rings, and she goes, thank you for calling KMG Live. How can I help you? And we booked a session. We were like, yay, booked a session. We're going to be able to eat like something other than canned something tonight. And then my phone rang, and I booked a session. And then our intern's phone rang, and then her phone rang, and then her phone rang, then my phone rang. Pretty soon we were booked up for like 3 months. And we were going, how did that flashpoint happen? To this day, I'm never going to know. But every time we would read, we would do marketing efforts. We would do the things that they said in the books. That was our first version of mentorship. And ever since I watched the result happen, because I don't know if it was 3 months or 4 months or 5, however long we were doing that. But that was the first just real honest to God thing. I was like, oh my God, I'm personal growth works. Knowledge works. This really works. And so I would order in CDs, and then I found that crazy thing called Audible, and I just absolutely went nuts. And now I'm the person who, instead of like most people when you get into a debate, they will Google a bunch of things and try to spit facts at you. I will just keep my mouth shut, and I will be ordering every book on the subject in case we ever have the discussion again. Because then I'm like, in this book, and in this, and in this, I read this, have you, and then it's a completely different discussion, because I'm coming from a place that just didn't make the top 10 of something I Googled on the internet. And that's how most people live their life. But we don't understand that the way that the algorithm works is it is always going to give you supporting arguments. And so we're never seeing the other side of things. And allowing yourself to explore, but also the ego can start trapping you. And it's going to say, oh, well, there's no way that's true. I am not going to listen to you. I'm not open-minded. This is what's true for me, and I'm never letting you in. And so it's this thing that you have to understand and kind of banter with. It's a little bit of a game of tennis. It's like, when do you need to be put in check versus when do you need to be put in action?